Yeah, markets up very, very strong today. Some of the indices closed higher than I would have expected. So Nasdaq, S&P, we'll look at that in a second. I think the takeaway today is the fact that the interest rates went up strong, closed a high of day. US dollar, same thing. I did speak about that potential in the last video. Continuation on the way. We're going to look at the 1 year closing above 5%, the 2, the 5, the 10 looking strong. The 30 has been strong for a while. So interest rates are worth looking at. The US dollar, obviously, that's had a continuation of its mini breakout. So now at 103.5 or something. We're going to look at that. Gold and silver obviously went down given dollar going up, mainly dollar going up, but also the market going up because, the last couple of weeks, you could say gold's been going up when the market's been going down. So the one interesting point was the banks were not that strong. So we're going to take a look at everything. I think it's very interesting. I think the markets are ridiculous, but that's the case almost every day. Good luck to those people still holding and not taking profits in tech stocks. All right, let's take a look at it in the usual order. S&P, I mean, closed above resistance, clear resistance, very, very strong. Next resistance really for me is all the way up here, 430. It's going to take some doing to get there. I mean, I keep saying that and it keeps proving me wrong. 2.5%, to be honest, it could do it in one day, but I don't think it will. Well, let's see, it really could. It's not going to do it in one day. It would take what are we tomorrow? Friday. It would take Friday, Monday, Tuesday, or something. We do also have some Fed speakers tomorrow. I think even Powell. So let's see. But look, technically, very, very strong, very strong. And it should try and make its way up here. But obviously, I would never recommend buying that just because the fundamentals. The Nasdaq, I mean, it's been strong for a while. I mean, compared to the other markets, it's been very strong. And then yesterday, also very strong move. I mean, I wasn't surprised that we were going to test 335, but to close all the way up here, look at this post after hours, we're all the way up here. I know Netflix has done very well today. I think it's ridiculous, but look, I got to remind myself that, when you look at the DAX, the CAC, remember where these are. People don't really talk about this, the fact that the European markets are all the way up at their highs and making even new highs, you could say, almost pretty much the DAX today almost made a new high. But yeah, so the Nasdaq, underperforming the European markets, but still very, very strong. I don't expect it. Next resistance for me, it's all the way up there. Very understandable. You can see these resistance, hitting your head multiple times. And there's actually no other resistance in this vacuum. I mean, let's say the S&P hits its resistance before the Nasdaq, then the Nasdaq would find resistance, somewhere in the middle. But they're both very, very far away from their resistance. So I don't think we're going to see, them hitting their resistance tomorrow. The Dow underperforming, you can tell straight away. So next resistance for me is all the way up here. To be honest, it should have got there given what the S&P and the Nasdaq's done. So that tells you how relatively weak the Dow is. And I remember this period it was storming up whilst the others were struggling. So it's funny how over the last couple of weeks it's retained its relative weakness. But yeah, that's next resistance. Let's see what happens tomorrow. But the Dow and the Russell are the weaker ones. It's been like that for ages. The Russell finally broken out of its descending, still the weakest one, still very much tied to the banking stocks. We'll take a look at them too. Next resistance is this line. Nothing's changed. It has, however, closed above the descending. So, but let's see, if they start to roll over, the Russell can look weak in 2 days. One down candle and the next one closes below 172, and it's just, straight away looking for the lows. So I never think we're further than 3, 4, 5 trading days away from new lows, of this area for the Russell. So it can turn quickly, you have these staircase moves up and then the elevator down. Look at even the Nasdaq, looks beautiful. Okay, we have a bit of a squeeze here, but you can have one massive bearish candle and that's it. The next one takes you to the ascending, and what if it closes below? Boom. So, and that's what a banking crisis could do to all these charts. Let's look at the banks. XLF, yeah, weak compared to all the charts we just looked at, but and also only not even up 1%. So, despite what the Nasdaq's done the last 2 days, next resistance is all the way up here. Let's see. I mean, nothing's impossible. It could tag it and the next day close above it. But I'm sorry, I just see another bank going down. I think the fact that they're underperforming means a lot of big people out there with deep pockets also think the same. And look, interest rates are going up again. That's what sent everything down. So it's a vicious cycle. I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to go all the way up, especially if interest rates are going up. We'll take a look at those later. The KVE, that's more interesting. Obviously, yesterday's candle was quite good, but continuation, we're back in the prior support zone. So supposed to act as resistance. Didn't do much, but yeah, I mean, let's see if there's any continuation. A lot of resistance all the way up here at 38. But look, not even up 1%. If we have a red day tomorrow, and it's probably going to happen because we've had a nice 2 days in the markets, straight away back down and below this prior support, it'll act as resistance again. So KBE, yes, it's gone up because it had to. The markets went up, but again, a bit like the Russell, 2-3 days away from testing the lows. KRE underperforming the KBE. KRE is the weakest. Yeah, it's gone up, but look, 0.5% up. Not that much. It'll take 2 days to go test the lows, and yeah, it's certainly not what I would buy. So the banks are relatively weak compared to the general stock markets. Okay, that's the markets, that's the banks. Let's get to the more interesting part. I think the more significant part anyway. Look at the yields. The yields were sort of, for me, it was hard to read them because they were going up. I mean, this part I was reading very well. And then banking crisis, yields get dumped, bonds are bought. Okay, I understand. I was really shocked by how much they came down, and then, we got our new chart pattern. And now I think the last couple of weeks it's been a little more readable. And, I was saying in the last video, and I haven't done that many videos this week, apologies, but I did say, look, the test of 5%, are we going to do it? And today we closed technically above 5%. So, which should be resistance. It might just go sideways, drop a little bit tomorrow, whatever. But to me, it indicates, and I felt it, rates want to go up naturally. They want to go and rise to the surface. And if that happens, the markets should probably collapse. Remember before, with rates going up, gold was, yeah, it was a different time, I guess. But I think rates want to go back up. The 1 year, definitely, you can see that. So maybe I'm expecting a bit of sideways, maybe a bit of a drop, but essentially we're going all the way up to 5.28. Obviously, let's see what the Fed says and all this stuff in between. But, aside any news, it wants to go up. The 2 year, okay, obviously we're underperforming the 1 year, but look, we broke out of this descending, and since then it's just green, green, green. And now, just like the 1 year, we're closing at resistance. I'm not going to say it's above resistance. Resistance is always a bit rough. You can tell this resistance is correct. So we could go down and then we say, oh, it hit resistance, didn't breach it. 1 year, same thing. Obviously, it's a much better close than all the way up here, but I wouldn't say we're above the resistance. So let's see. Obviously, very strong. 5 year, just underperforming the 2 year, but still doing quite well. It was the weakest one, actually, the last couple of weeks. 10 year, look at that, just like the 2 year closing at resistance. It looks very nice, for a move up. So yields up. The 30 year was stronger than the 10 year. I mentioned that quite a few times. Look at that. That'll take 1 or 2 days, and then we're testing 4%. And that should attract headlines, 30 year at 4%, even the 2 year being where it is, 4.3. So basically, yields are going up, which means the bonds are going down. Makes sense. European yields, let me just look at the EU 10. Look at that. What is that? 2 weeks away from making a new high. This is what brings down the markets. I always said it, and it was true. The banks went down because they held garbage bonds, basically. And it's the same again, yields go up, your bonds are worth less, and on top of that, it's more painful to hold. So yeah, it's all about yields. And now the yields are making a massive, significant return. They're at key levels. They're closing at highs of days. So seriously, the yields are important. Let's look at the dollar, because that old school is starting to move up with rates. We had our breakout. Look at this, 1, 2, 3 trend lines breach. So obviously that was important, and there was a follow through. not much sideways. I remember this day saying this was strong, and I could, even though it closed not that much high, look at what happened right after. Bam, bam. Look at today. I identified this as resistance. I don't think it's as strong as resistance, but I do think it counts. I remember having it as support back here, and we've tested it once here. I don't know. I just feel, and anyway, today we close at this level, just like the yields. It's like they close at their resistance points. Will we have follow through? Yeah, you could have a sideways day, a little red candle, and then let's see what happens. Obviously, there's news every day, so let's see how that happens. I'm just wondering what I've been thinking is, look, we're not just going to go up in a straight line, but we could have, some sideways, whatever. The point is, the dollar could start to hit this area and, coincide with the resistance here. This is obvious resistance to me, but also the massive descending. And then what? Then does it just go back down again with, maybe by then they stop raising rates? Obviously, I don't want to look too far in the future. And obviously it's going to be one or the other. But I just feel like it will coincide perfectly. And this is what usually happens, with charts. It just coincides perfectly with events in the future. And the technicals line up with fundamentals, even in the future. So I'm not sure how much of a move up to expect, but that's a good strong handle. And for me, obvious resistance is 105. Can we go all the way up? I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think the de-dollarization around the world is real. I know it's slow and probably been dramatized in the types of news we read, but still, I just don't think the DXY can make it all the way up there. I remember it was pretty weak on the way down here, and the fact that it took so long to break out here. I mean, it's warranted a breakout. It deserves it after all this, and maybe it can go a little higher, but I just don't think it'll have it. Let's see what happens. But either way, the DXY has had an impact on commodities, especially gold and silver. Let's look at copper. Copper's holding the ascending. You can see this isn't just some random collection of candles. It's there for a reason. I think it's the ascending. So it needs to reclaim this zone. Quite weak. If the dollar keeps going up, we could go lower. And this is despite the markets going up. Normally I'm used to copper going up when the market goes up in normal times. And if it's not going up with the market going up pretty strong, okay, the dollar's taking it down. But what if the market goes down and the dollar doesn't really go down? Then we probably go down too. So copper's quite weak, and ascending is the weakest chart pattern. So, I mean, look, it's come down already a bit. So I don't expect it to keep flushing immediately, but it's not strong. It was strong back here, and yeah, it's underperformed, especially compared to gold and silver. So, oops. Yeah, so that's copper. Not the strongest chart on the ascending, and looking for a close below. If we go up, resistance is this white line. If we go higher, then yeah, roughly there. I don't see it going higher than here. 4 is probably also a nice psychological number. Natural gas, this is the exciting one. So this one, I did suggest back here, look, it's looking very strong, but how many false signals did we have? But look, I kept on saying zoom out. This thing has to go up. And I think it could squeeze. Well, it kind of did squeeze today. Okay, the charts have reset, but it was basically up like 9% or something. Very strong stuff. Let's see, something like, yeah, basically 9%. And most importantly, it closed above 2.5. We didn't have that. Now we meaningfully closed above 2.5. We're above 2.7. So, and I did say we close above 2.5, we basically run to 3, and that's pretty much what you get. You don't get one candle, you get 2 or 3. And yeah, I see natural gas going all the way up to 3. Obviously some sideways, come back down, and once you take out 3, yeah, you run to 4. I don't really want to put the trend lines in now, but 4 is a nice round number. It's also here where the gap and so roughly there. And you know what? By the time we get there, maybe it coincides with the massive descending. So you could also get, for example, something like this, breakout, and then, oh, descending back down, break out of that. And then you got this huge, well, we'll see. It'll probably coincide with geopolitics too. And then everyone is going to say when the chart's all the way up here, they say, well, why the hell weren't we buying back there? Well, it's easy to say, later when it's all the way up. But, even me, I thought that we could flush this. So I've only got 2 out of my 5 buys in this, but I'm not chasing. I'm happy. And I think natural gas will go higher. Yeah, I expect it to be at 3 very soon. Oil, nothing, sideways. But this is soon going to be pretty dramatic. If we start to flush, below 70 or close below 70, you can tell a close below 70 would be dramatic. I reckon it goes straight back down here, and then, oh my God, we're going to flush this ascending, and we're in the 50s, and then it'll be the #1 story on the day that happens. Or we start to go back up again, and then it won't really grab headlines, but you can tell this 82 zone is a massive ceiling. I mean, look how many times we've hit our head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could say 7 or whatever, but and then if we hit it again, 8. So imagine the close above. Well, imagine an 85 or run straight to 90. I think it deserves to go higher, but definitely I can see a scenario where it goes lower. If the markets go down, oil probably goes down. Imagine you have a crash, oil probably go down, and it would be a great buy. But quite a few things will be a good buy if the markets crash. So, but long-term oil, as a commodity, I'm bullish. Uranium, this one also, it's a bit like oil, I really hope it flushes because I have some some uranium stocks I want to buy. But look, so far, massive move up, retracement over retrace, but that happens. Now we're hitting the descending back test. Let's see. I can't really say much. Let's see what happens because I'm going to delete this line. It's just noise at this point. Let's see what happens. It's very close to crunch time. Either it's going to basically break out of this massive descending strategic line, or we're going to flush and test the massive strategic ascending line. And it's, decision time soon. Which way is it going to be? Which way is it going to be? And as soon as it's obvious, it'll probably have quite a lot of momentum. So I'm watching uranium every day. Not that much, but, at the open, at the close. I have plans for that, but I'll probably end up getting left at the station because it'll probably go up because it deserves to go high. I know a lot of people have held uranium for like 1 or 2 years and their portfolios are down. And, they probably look at people like me like, why don't you just get in now? You can get better prices than they got. And there's only been better news since, right? How many countries have sort of adopted or mentioned that they're going to adopt nuclear power, and it's just gotten more obvious. The thesis is better, it's stronger. So, and you're buying some uranium miners even cheaper. So uranium, I know, is a good deal in the back of my mind. So I'm watching that. But look, sideways until a massive breakout or breakdown. Okay, gold and silver. Now, silver was not. It's a shame I do them late. They reset, but silver was not really down more than gold. I think they were both down 1%. But, if you got gold down 1%, you should have silver down 2 at least. So that was, I'm not going to say bullish, but not a very bearish signal. And the GDXJ, and here you can see it because they didn't reset, GDXJ was not really down more than GDX. In fact, it was down less. But to be honest, when the GDX is down 2.6, you should expect GDXJ down 3.25 or something. So that also, I don't want to say bullish, but that was also a decent sign. So not the worst day. We did close below 19. I had 9. You can see the trend line. I've had it for ages. 1970 really is plus it's a nice round number, there. Yeah, we did that today. We closed at 1958 or whatever it was. So clearly below 1970. It's hard for me to call these trend lines, the horizontal ones. I mean, here I've got one because we touched it twice there. We touched it there, and just generally because was it 1935? I remember 1935. I don't know. This is where I put it. For me, the most important one is the ascending. The ascending, it stretches out from a much further out time period. It's easier to read because it just touches twice, and it seems to coincide with this lower horizontal. So for me, if we go lower, the ascending should act as support. And to be honest, they usually do. All right, I reckon I'll be right on that. If we get there, 1950 is a nice psychological number. And today, honestly, we hit 1951 to whatever. That means we hit 1950. So, and to be honest, I might as well put that as support because it's a nice round number, and we hit it today. So that is support, 1950. End of story. This one here was prior support, in my opinion. I'm going to leave it anyway. It doesn't confuse me, so I'll leave it. This trend line, yeah, I'm going to leave it as it is. But look, for me, it's the ascending. Gold didn't close a complete low of day, but wasn't the strongest. What would have been good is if it's rallies back up and closes above 1970. Then it would have been oh, maybe we're going to reverse back up now and test 2000. But because it closed where it did, and because the dollar and rates look like they want to continue, why doesn't gold come down? Gold's had a crazy run. So if I had to bet, and I am betting, gold goes lower. Gold goes to 1930, whatever I've got here, which should coincide with the ascending. So I think we're going to end up roughly here-ish. And then it'll be a nice bounce play, and then you can sell resistance. But for me, because of the dollar and rates, I think gold goes lower. It has to. And remember, it's not like we've been crushed the last couple of months. We've gone up. And there's a lot of people holding gold that don't believe in it. They're not gold bugs. They're just sort of institutions that just buy because it's going up, the morons. So they'll have weak hands and they'll be selling all the way down here. And I'll probably be buying some, not gold, but some miners. Silver didn't go down as much as gold, or roughly the same. So that's okay. But what did I say about silver? Silver, it's very hard for me to read the trend lines in the horizontal ones. The ascending one is very clear. I don't think we're going to go all the way back down. 10%, that's a bit too much because that would require, this kind of a move in gold. I don't see that happening at all. So I don't think silver's going to hit the ascending. I mean, I can see maybe this area. I don't know. It's hard to call. Yeah, because it hit it there. I don't know. But I don't need to guess silver. And that's what I said in my last video. When gold starts to curl, when it's done flushing, when the dollar's topped out, or rates have topped out, or bonds are being bought because there's a banking crisis, whatever the news is, when in the chart is being translated, the dollar is topping out, rates are topping out, gold is curling, that's when silver bottoms. So I don't need to guess it. If there's no very clear trend line, don't draw one. Don't just force something which is wrong. So yeah, I'm going to stick with that principle. I won't draw anything. Let's go to GDX, GDXJ. Here is a little clearer for me. I haven't drawn in any trend lines, before the video. So everything I see is what I've had the last couple of days. Now, for me, GDX and GDXJ, unlike gold and silver, did rally quite well off their lows. It made back, you could say, almost more than half their losses. So that's quite good. I do still think dollar and rates are going to go up and gold will go back down and make new lows. So maybe GDX will still make new lows, or maybe they'll test their old lows and hold. And then we've got a bit of support. We can say, all right, 31.5-ish is support. I think around here, just because of these candles here and these here, and also it's rough support, whether it's 30.5 or 31, it's the same thing. Well, it's probably a difference of 0.5%. So maybe I should make this a fat line, no, that's just confusing. But this area, I think, would be a little support. Obviously, if we go all the way low, we're going to test ascending, and it looks like gold's ascending. Could we get there? Absolutely, we could. How much of a drop is that from where the close is? 8%. That's 3 very bad days. Of course, we could do that. If gold goes to 1930s, who knows? Maybe the miners underperformed the metals on the way down all of a sudden. But look, it wasn't the weakest day because look how much they made back. So who knows? But these are the trend lines I'm watching. I got this one here, rough sort of trend line of 30.5 to 31, and then the ascending, which I would really I would buy there. GDXJ. Oh, by the way, I did buy a little bit today. I did buy a little bit. It wasn't because I think we're done going down. It was like a strategic buy. I just added to Agnico Eagle, Newmont, Barrick Gold. I just want to buy the big boys on the way down because it's defensive, a good dividend, whatever. But it's not like the little silver boys that go down 5-6%. These guys go down 2-3, but they're dependable. They come up and For me, it's a defensive play. When I really think it's bottomed, I will be buying, EX, the medium silver miners, put it that way. So I nibbled a little bit, put it that way. GDXJ, absolutely the same as GDX. Yeah, I mean, GDXJ also made back half its losses. I got their trend line a bit closer, but again, I'll be working off the ascending and the horizontal. So let's see. GDXJ looks closer to its trend lines, but that's just what I'm saying by looking at it. So let's see what happens. I got the trend lines, and that's what I'm going to be working off. Um, Very quickly, Bitcoin look pretty weak, trying to hold. Look at these closes here above the 26,500. This is not the worst looking candle. I know it's red. It's sort of a little engulfing, but look, it bounced quite decently and it closed above 26,500. So you've got to wait for a close below 26,500. Then it's okay. Time to go down. First stop here, next stop there. Yes, I still agree with that. And then we'll see. We have to see what's going on in the news too. Okay, that's it very quickly. I'm going to try and make my videos pretty quick. So I hope to make one tomorrow. I hope you found that useful. Good luck tomorrow.